Hey guys, we're back with another recipe. This is going to be an epic turkey meatloaf recipe. You can see right here I've got one onion that's been chopped up, two jalapenos ready to be diced up, some, 20 saturated salt-free seasoning, you can see that in the background, some garlic cloves ready to be chopped up, and about a half pound of mushrooms already kind of coarsely chopped up, as well as three 20-ounce packages of ground turkey breast, some panko breadcrumbs, some pepper, some eggs as well, and I'll be showing you guys how this all goes together to make a pretty amazing meatloaf. But first things first, get your oven on at 350 preheating and get some oil, olive oil, into a pan on medium heat on the stove to get these veggies sauteed. Alright, you guys can see we've got the onions, mushrooms, and jalapeno and about 2 tablespoons of oil in our pan sauteing. We're going to kind of try to caramelize the onions and mushrooms and cook down the jalapeno. I add a little bit of salt and some fresh cracked black pepper. Our garlic is waiting off to the side because garlic can burn real easy, so once this is cooked down, we're going to add that garlic back in so it can open up and give that great garlic flavor. It's going to take about 10-15 minutes to get this done, and then we will check back on it. Meanwhile, we're going to be assembling our meatloaf. I'm going to crack some eggs. I have all 3 packages, 3 20-ounce packages of turkey breast, and we're going to crack 3 eggs into there, and you're just going to have to get your hands messy and see what kind of consistency this comes out with in the end. Just kind of mixing up your turkey and your eggs, and then we're going to be adding in some panko breadcrumb to kind of get the mixture a little thickened up. This stuff is really cold right now. It's going to be really messy. Make sure you wash your hands because you're dealing with poultry, and we'll check back on the next step when I'm done with this. Here we are just about 10 minutes later. We've got a nice brown on our mushrooms and on our onions. Jalapenos been cooked nicely, so I'm adding in now the garlic. Just going to stir this around lightly, and we're only going to leave this on the heat for about another minute or so with the garlic in there. It's just going to open up, a lot of oil is going to come out, and right now it smells awesome. Anytime you add garlic in, it smells great. We just don't want to overcook the garlic to where it burns, so that'll be our goal. And just to kind of let this mix in, let the heat open it up, release some of that flavor, and it'll be great because it'll roast inside the meatloaf when it's in the oven. But that's it. I'm going to wait about 30 more seconds, turn the heat off, and then let it sit. It's got to cool down a little bit before I add it into my meatloaf. Alright, we got our veggie mixture finished up. It's cooled down a little bit. I added the 4th egg into the meat mixture. Now we're just going to add all of this together. And it's a little bit warm still for me to touch, so I'm going to stir this around with a spoon and get it all mixed up. As you guys can see, it's just going to be kind of a matter of beginning just to stir all the mixture together, and I'll come back to you when I got this all done. Alright, next we're going to begin to add in the panko breadcrumbs. So I'm adding first off just a half a cup. So I had 1/4 cup in there, adding another 1/4 cup. I'm going to mix this around. I'm trying to get this to a certain consistency that I feel comfortable with, that I'll kind of explain to you once I get it there. Alright, here's the consistency you want to get, or at least I try to get with my meatloaf. I end up putting in 1.5 cups of my panko breadcrumbs. I like to mix it till I get it where the whole thing kind of moves as a big mass around, one giant meatball, kind of, or if you can pull it off and just kind of form a nice solid meatball that is pretty stiff and doesn't squish in your hands, really, like doesn't just fall around your hands or fall through your fingers like a gooey mess. So you know about that point, you've got it good. Now, I haven't added a lot of seasoning, a lot of salt in here. I use a very small amount of salt in my vegetable mixture, and I've used a tiny bit of this salt-free seasoning. So if you want to add more salt or your favorite seasonings from here, you could do that. I mean, even these toppings are optional. This is just my way of making a meatloaf. And I'm going to add a little bit more of this salt-free seasoning in here and mix it thoroughly, and then I'll show you the assembly of the meatloaf and we'll pop it in the oven. Alright, we're going to be putting our meat mixture into our pan. Now I, for some reason, can't find my loaf pans, like a bread loaf pan, are perfect for a meatloaf pan. You know, they kind of shaped like a bread loaf. If you have one of those, you're going to want to use it. This is going to change my cooking time slightly, but your cooking times can be somewhere around an hour or 45 minutes to an hour. You're going to want to have one of these right here. This is a cooking thermometer. If you guys don't have one of these meat thermometers, you got to get one. You want your internal temperature to be somewhere around 165, 170. So if you don't have one of these, it's going to be really hard for you just to tell when your meatloaf's actually done you'll end up undercooking or overcooking or having to check 1,000 times and chop holes in it. So I suggest you get one of these. You can pick them up at the store for really cheap. What I'm going to do is drop in a layer of my meat, probably about half of it. I've got some non-stick olive oil cooking spray and just some panko crumbs around the bottom. I'm going to drop in about half of this and press it down. This is going to, you'll see, it's going to be a pretty huge, enormous loaf of meat. So, and I'll show you guys what I'm going to do after this. Right, guys, here's a special thing that you can do. I've smashed some frozen asparagus from Trader Joe's, just kind of smashed it into my meat, and then I'll be taking the remainder of what I have left and just smashing it all on top of here. You can see this is going to be huge, definitely going to overfill my pan. If you have any leftover of this, you can always just put it to a ball, freeze it, and you've got some meat to make some turkey burgers later, or whatever else you'd like to make out of it. So that's my suggestion. If you have like about this much left, or however much I end up needing, just freeze it, or just pack it and make some turkey burgers out of it later in the week, or like I said, freeze it in 2 patties. There you go. Alright, here's the almost finished product, but final prepared product to be put into the oven. I put some more asparagus in the top of it, and I actually smeared a little bit of olive oil mayonnaise on there. It kind of helps brown it up and add a little bit more fat and kind of savoriness, because this is going to be really lean. It only has the 2 tablespoons of oil that I cooked the veggies in, and the eggs that I put in there, but it's still going to be just a lot leaner of a loaf. So this is going to go into the oven at 350. I'm going to check it in 45 minutes with my meat thermometer, and we're looking for a 165, 170 internal temperature. We'll check back when that's done. Alright, well, the size of the meatloaf and everything took a little bit longer. For me, it actually took to get to the temperature I needed at 165. It took me about an hour and 15 minutes, and then I put some foil over top, let it rest for about 10 minutes, and I'll be cutting into it, and I'll show you guys when it's all said and done here in just a second. And here's the final plated version for myself and my wife. The macros and the nutrition content will be right after this for the entire meatloaf. It'll show you how much calories, protein, fat, carbs, everything was in the entire meatloaf. You can plate it with anything you like. I'm having mine tonight with some mixed vegetables and an arroz con leche with protein powder and a rice mixture that you can also find in my 1-minute meal section. And it's a great, well-balanced meal. We've got enough meatloaf to last us for a couple days, which is always nice, especially when you're in a hurry. So thanks for checking out this recipe, and subscribe or stay tuned for many more. You guys have an awesome day. Try this soon and let me know how it turns out.